Are you looking on how to create your life by design and have the dream life that you possibly could ever dream of? Awesome. Today, I'm actually going to be interviewing Kim Ward, who is an entrepreneur and author. And today you will be learning how she got started in business, the struggles that she had as a mom entrepreneur, and how she got out of those struggles and actually built a successful business. Be sure to stay tuned.
My dad makes the big mistake of coming through the stores. We need more cowbell.
I help moms grow their business as they raise. Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I am so good, and I'm really, really excited to be here with you.
Awesome. I'm actually very excited to have you here as well. I've seen you a lot on Facebook and all through YouTube, so I'm very excited to have you join us today. Kim, can you share with me a little bit about yourself?
I am a digital marketing strategist, but my passion is mindset. I really believe that when we have a full understanding and authentic love for who we are, that's when we show up to do the necessary things for our business. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it wasn't always like that for me. I came from a very, very troubled, dysfunctional background in childhood. I myself am a suicide attempt survivor. I went through the loss of losing my sister and my mom, both to suicide as well. And going through those seasons of my life, I wrote a chapter in a book last night. My chapter was called Learning to Love My Wounds. And it's because the adversity that I faced really has made me a better person. And so here I am, retired my husband and mama to 3 humans, if you can believe that. My daughter's 7, my son is 23, and then I've got a girl smushed in the middle. She's 14, and I love my life. And it's because I stepped into entrepreneurship and I've learned how to balance motherhood and business and help other people really leverage their time the same way that I do now.
And thank you for getting real with us. I do appreciate it. I do feel like a lot of us come through possible trauma made us to be the person that we are today. Can you tell me a little bit more about your business?
Sure, I would love to. Ironically, I believe that we can create our life by design. And that's a very searchable keyword and searchable term. So I named my business Life by Design Solutions. And it really is all about helping driven entrepreneurs just kick ass and find their fire. And sometimes that means they need some help getting through those past traumas. And sometimes they need help figuring out a marketing strategy that will help them step into, what lights them on fire. I don't believe that we're all created equally. We're not. We have different backgrounds. We have different skill sets. We have different mindsets, for crying out loud. And not every person's business should be treated equal. So what I'll do is I work with the individual to see what lights them up. Where's the passion? What do you like to do? And then what are the things that you don't like to do? Because let's face it, Shaytoya, like if someone is feeling a little resistance, what's the likelihood that they're going to show up to do that thing and be consistent at it, right? And that's the key word, is consistency. So I love to help driven entrepreneurs just really find what fuels their soul. And we take that and we create a business strategy out of that. So it's a real good combination of what's going on with the mindset. And then with that, what marketing strategy or tactic do we tap into so that it's most effective for you, for your goals?
And if you can just share with me, Kim, how did you get started?
It's a very funny story. I was a clinical lab manager. So I started working in the medical field when I was 18 and I loved it. I loved my patients. I loved the staff. I loved everything about it. What I didn't love is when I became a mama. And you are a new mom for the second time. And it's like, for me, I would drop my kids off at daycare. I'd kind of drive to work in like this zombie, just autopilot mentality. Sometimes I pull into the parking lot and literally look around and go, how did I get here? I don't even remember the drive to work. And then what hurts my heart the most is being the last parent to pick my kid up from daycare. And I don't know what life looks like now because it feels like a very long time ago that I was in that situation. But back then anyway, they had policies in place where if you were even a minute late, you would pay $1 per minute. And there were nights where my babies would be the last ones sitting at the steps with the teacher and I would be charged that $1 per minute fee. And I thought, this is not fun. Like, I crave time freedom and I I really craved choice in my own life. And what I mean by that is like when it was summer vacation, the kids might be off from school, mom still had to go to work. And so I really, really craved and desired a better way. And I found a network marketing company through Facebook, through a friend of mine, and I fell in love. So I worked with my husband. He was a lieutenant with fire rescue. I just walked away from my career. I literally gave a 2-week notice and I walked away from that corporate environment, launched myself into this crazy, fun, unpredictable world of entrepreneurship. And lo and behold, I found a business coach, a mentor who saw something in me that I didn't even know existed yet. I didn't know helping other people the way that I do now was even a passion of mine. And he kind of molded me to step into this coaching world. And here I am years later, a global coach and trainer, and I just never even knew it existed.
First got started, what were you looking to achieve?
Honestly, at the time, all I cared about was really being present with my family. You know, I became a mom. I chose to have these children. And I wanted to be a part of their lives. And I felt through working through and I'm not bashing jobs, I'm really not. But for me, what I wanted to be present. I didn't want to be stressed out. I didn't want to snap at my kids or my husband at the end of the day because I was tired or someone at work said something that, may have rubbed me the wrong way. And I felt that if I could be present through teething and tantrums, I think I said that to you once before, and just make a little bit of money to help kind of ease that burden for my husband. I mean, it's a lot of stress adulting. Being an adult is hard. And when you're financially responsible for a family unit, that puts an added level of pressure on a person. And I thought, well, just walked away from my career. So we legit lost my salary overnight. And I need to make something so that I relieve a little bit of his stress and that pressure for him too. And he was very, very supportive. And so I found that we as a family connected deeper. The bond was amazing because there was none of the parents were fighting or bickering, or we didn't worry about the stress that we had at one point in our lives. So it was pretty cool to see it unravel.
That is amazing. And I know having a partner that supports you is even better.
100%. I feel for those who maybe don't have as a supportive partner as they could or should. And in those situations, I really encourage people, if that's you and it's like, great for you, you're successful because you had a supportive spouse. I always like to encourage people to sit down with your spouse or your partner or your family unit and really, really explain genuinely why you're working so hard or maybe the way that you are to achieve these certain goals. Because when everybody understands the bigger picture, there's a buy-in. And when you have that buy-in, then everyone's kind of rowing that boat together and you're not getting, hopefully, potentially, you're not getting the resistance that you did when there might have been a lack of communication. So I just throw that out there. Hopefully it helps somebody.
Kim, can you share some of the challenges that you possibly faced on your journey?
Girl, where do I start? I think as a woman, as a very driven woman, as a type A, and I think a lot of females can relate to this, and I am not excluding any gender. I'm a mom. So that's the language that I speak, and I'm a very driven mom. And so when I decided to retire myself or just leave the corporate industry where I was making 6 figures, I did have an amazing benefits package. I had a company car that they allowed me to also drive for personal use. And I felt in the moment there that I had purpose. And I think a lot of us crave that purpose. And transitioning into the world of entrepreneurship, we have to find our sea legs. It's like we don't just open up a laptop and money comes spewing back from the keyboard. There's very much a learning curve and a learning process. And that's why we call it a journey. So for me, during that transition, I really lost my self-worth. I didn't know in that moment, like I had gotten everything I wanted. I was a present mom. I was a present wife, but my soul, like the bigger picture, felt like something is missing here for me as a dedicated, driven woman. And so I slipped into a little bit of a depression in that phase where I was trying to learn who I was and what I had to offer the world. Because outside of that, the person I created in the medical field, that's who I was. I now had to redefine my identity and discover myself again. And it was a bitch.
So when it comes to your current direction of your current business, what caused you to discover the direction you wanted to go?
I think we really evolve and we rediscover ourselves as time goes on. So the person that I was when I launched my business, I wanted very different things. And then I would stretch myself a little bit and see what I was capable of. And I would find new passions. And I think this is true for a lot of people. As you grow your network, you learn new skills, and it's like, ooh, I checked this box, right? Okay, I made the 6-figure thing. I made the 10,000 a month thing. I made the 20, whatever that means to you. What's that next level? So the direction I'm headed, and I chose, is because when we start out in business, we're in what I call that active phase of business, where you still have to trade your time for money. There's no way around it, right? You have to create your content. You have to grow your network. You have to build that credibility and that trustworthiness with people. And that can sometimes lead to burnout. And that did happen for me, if I'm being totally honest. Back in 2020, I was working very, very hard to build the structure of this business. And I've got this big, beautiful bay window right here in front of me. And I watch my family. I'd watch them make s'mores, and I'd watch them chase fireflies. And we have goats, right? So I'd watch them play with the goats, and I'd sit here and go, what's missing from this picture? Mom. So all the reasons why I chose to become an entrepreneur, I had kind of trapped myself again, but I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary for me and for people to learn from what you don't want, what go through the mess, get bruised a little bit, because then you learn how to improve and how to do things different. So at this point, leverage is really, really important to me. And it's possible, right? I had to go through that mess to see the vision and the direction of me and where I'm taking people and clients and my company. And it's really helping people become happy with who they are, and what I call like hybrid marketing, which means you're not having to trade your time for money and causing burnout. There's a healthy balance, meaning there's one foot in the door for, hey, I'm still trading a little time for money, and I'm also leveraged in the sense that I can generate leads, I can make sales around the clock with what I've put in place. And that's what I strive to help digital marketers do.
Well, that's awesome, Kim. Thank you for sharing. And I feel like, just as a mom, and I totally understand with, putting hours within content and, wanting to make sure we're successful, but at the same time wanting to make sure we're a great mom. So I totally get that, Kim. So thank you for sharing. My next question that I have for you is, what tips do you have for a mom possibly just starting out in business? What tips do you have for her just getting started?
So good. I think, I had a call this morning. I was training entrepreneurs in a community that you and I are both a part of. And my topic today was slowing down to speed up. And as a mama, self-care is the most important thing. We're so very good at putting everybody and sometimes everything before ourselves. And that will absolutely lead to exhaustion, burnout. I'm a huge mental health advocate for all the reasons that I said earlier. And it's so important that you really do function from a place of me first, because it's not selfish, it's necessary. And really kind of putting on the blinders to absolutely everything that's thrown in front of you. There's so many different platforms, there's so many different trainers, there's so many different courses. And so one thing I shared was like to draw like 3 columns on a piece of paper. Write down the word now in the first column. In the second column, write down the word later. And in the third column, write down the word never. Because things that are thrown at you is what we call mompreneurs. It's not always for you. But if you're operating from a place of desperation or FOMO, fear of missing out, you're going to take on way too much. You're going to find yourself burning out, and then you're going to have to start from the starting point again. So really take the time for you, and then make those intentional decisions of like, does this thing serve me right now? Does it help create and fuel us towards our vision and our goals? The answer is yes, move forward. But if the answer is later or never, those are the categories it goes in, and you don't feel bad about it.
Yes, and I feel like that could be so tough, but that's such a great outlook for us to look upon. So thank you for sharing that, Kim.
My pleasure.
Thank you for hanging out with us today. If someone's looking to get in contact with you, how is it that they can reach you?
The best way is just go to successwithkimward.com. I've had that domain since 2016. We are not going anywhere, and you'll be able to just kind of take what you need, what's relevant to you, and get in contact with me.
All right, awesome. And I'll be sure to add that to the description, of course. And Kim, thank you for joining us today. welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Be sure to subscribe to this page. Next week, I will be sharing with you on how I was able to get 100 subscribers.